You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner. Support us at patreon.com/After Movie Diner. Or I'll punch you in the teats. Rate and review us on iTunes, Earthling. And now, here's your host, John Cross.
Yep, that's right. I am John Cross, coming to you again for another episode of the After Movie Diner. And this episode was actually recorded back on April 26th in 2019, last year, when my old friend and damn good compadre and brother to our regular co-host, John Wallace, was in town. And Jim Wallace, his brother and our regular co-host, got us tickets to a Tribeca Film Festival screening of Ant Timpson's Come to Daddy, starring Elijah Wood. Come to Daddy finally got its release this week in the States. And, well, it was one of our favorite films of last year, and we couldn't wait for it to get a release. It finally got a release, as I said, this week, and so we are now releasing this episode. I've sat on it for almost a year, sat on it for at least 10 months, but luckily now everyone is getting the chance to see Come to Daddy, so I thought we would present this episode to you now. It's myself, John Wallace, and Jim Wallace sat down in the Waverley Restaurant, which is a little bit of a coincidence because that's where last week's episode came from. But as I said, this was recorded back on April 26th, 2019, after we'd seen the world premiere of the film at the Tribeca Film Festival. We also got to meet the director, Ant Timpson, and one of the stars, Steve McHattie, and Elijah Wood after the film, which was a real treat. Anyway, let us roll tape, as they say, or as they used to say. It's not tape anymore. It's just a digital file. I don't really know what I'm saying. It's late and I'm winging it, but it doesn't matter. Here we go. Here's our episode on Come to Daddy. Well, hello. Exciting stuff. Yes, it's the After Movie Diner. A brand new and exciting and thrilling and awesome episode to be recorded here at the Waverley Diner. Pushing midnight. Well, it's 11:30 right now, but we'll be pushing midnight as we carry on with our usual and wonderful and shiny and slightly rubbery faced.
Why am I rubbery faced? Is it because I caught the sun?
Yes.
Because I do feel like when I catch the sun, my face looks like that.
And annoyingly eyed.
Annoyingly eyed?
Just saying your eyes are annoying.
My eyes are annoying. I get it.
Jim Wallace. But what makes this episode so special, I hear you genuflect and cry. The reason being is we are joined by none other than my regular co-host's brother and a chap who
former regular co-host
and chap who I've known many years, and none other than John Wallace. Yay! Welcome to New York, sir.
Pleasure to be here. Thrilled to be here.
Thrilled to be here.
Thrilled and startled.
And it's wonderful.
To be interloping.
You are interloping. You are
slash ruining.
No. You are the better diner Wallace.
Have you had a third guest with you before?
There's a great unreleased podcast of 2016
with Giles.
But
that was more because we covered What's Apocalypse, and then we got really depressed because we just tailed off into politics, and like an hour of it was just unusable.
It was just us being depressed. It's like, does anyone listen to an hour of three people being depressed?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Although what was the only thing more depressing was when Jim and I covered Baby Driver, which is the other great unreleased.
Oh yeah,
I heard about the Baby Driver.
The Baby Driver was when I was literally ready to fork my own eyeballs.
Yeah, me too. And we're not normally in the same mood. Like sometimes you get in a mood like that, and I can drag you out. But I was so angry watching the film.
We were in that diner near Lincoln Center, that one where, for no apparent reason, even though they're open till midnight, at like 10:30 they start to shoo us out, and they're super miserable. And we were in there, and it was deathly quiet, except for people clanging cutlery and just mumbling. And then we were trying to cover Baby Driver, and the doom and depression was just
it was too much. It was too much. No one needs to be part of that.
Unlike tonight, where Jim and I were both kind of, I'm not sure we'll do a podcast tonight because it'll be late and we're super tired. This movie that we watched tonight, it woke us up, shoved a fire under
supercharged our enthusiasm, our film enthusiasm.
It really did. Our desire to talk movies.
Yeah.
And Jim, as I normally assign this to you, why don't you tell everyone, and also because you got us the tickets and everything else.
Thanks, man.
Jim got us the tickets for tonight, and I have to say,
it was awesome.
I wanted to come over here and do loads of diners. I basically wanted to come over here and do. The idea of the holiday was pretty much to do 5 diner episodes,
Right.
one every night.
Right.
I've arrived in the weirdest movie desert period.
It was a
movie desert.
I was looking through the listings. I was going, there's going to be something here. They've missed something, and there was nothing.
Bugger all.
Nothing. But tonight we've gone to see something that blows five average movies out of the water.
Yes.
Haven't we?
And we have, indeed. We went to a Tribeca Film Festival premiere.
The world premiere. We are
And
coming at you post a world premiere.
post-world premiere-ish, even though none of us dressed the part.
No, we didn't. We really didn't.
We really didn't.
But we did find ourselves briefly interlooping an actual mini red carpet Tribeca,
Yeah.
full of really beautiful people,
Yeah.
smartly dressed.
And we realised that the reason why we're in the middle of a movie desert is twofold. One, because Avengers Endgame has just come out and essentially swallowed the light from the sun and like a large behemoth dragon. And the other reason is because the Tribeca Film Festival was gearing up, and a lot of these cinemas around town that screen those films were kind of getting ready for it, like the Village East that we walked past the other day.
Yeah, they were just totally shut down.
They were totally shut down. So,
Crab? No. I was briefly tempted
Were
with
you
crab meat omelette. But that's not a good. That's not
in
gonna
a
be good,
diner at almost midnight.
No.
Are you mad?
Midnight diner seafood. Thank you. Anyway, sorry, the movie.
No, I'm almost excited. I almost want you to eat the crab meat omelette because the projectile vomiting would be something to witness.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, no crabs have come near that omelette. Like, no actual crabs. By crab meat, they mean Gerald,
Have you seen the SNL sketch about the guy that
Yeah,
the
the lobster.
That's
It's a Mulaney sketch.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before. But
They did a sequel about the guy who wants to use the bathroom in the bodega, which was amazing. But yes.
Crab meat salad.
No, stop.
I know, I
Stop
can't
with the
help
crab
it. I'm being okay, you're right. I need to.
Wait.
Say the name of the movie.
They have disco fries. I didn't know they have disco fries.
They do have this good. They've got something called Potatopia.
Yeah, potato.
Where's Potatopia?
Potatopia. Oh my god, they have pizza fries. I almost want pizza fries.
Everything avocado.
Avocado omelette. Avocado.
Why are they so crazy about avocado?
So talk about the movie.
Sorry, so the movie is called. Wow, I didn't realise the diner has its own security guard.
It does, yeah.
I thought he was on his way out, having just topped up the coffee and back to work, but no, he works here.
I feel safe.
Yeah. Is he?
And
is he
I would just say, guys, if we could talk at a slightly brighter timbre so that it picks it up better.
The movie
That's
you
better.
went to see.
Good talk exactly like that.
It was called Come to Daddy.
It was called Come to Daddy.
Come to Daddy. Sorry, come to Daddy.
Come to Daddy.
Come to Daddy.
Avocado.
It was not called Come to Daddy Avocado.
Come to Daddy.
That's the
Avocado.
It's a Kiwi film by a Kiwi director called Timpson. It looks like it's his first movie, right? Sounds like it was his first movie. Sounds like he'd been a producer up until this point.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
But he didn't tell the story, but he said it was based on a story, and in the credits it talked about his dad's embalmed corpse. Gave him the idea. What the story is, I don't know, but presumably he had to spend a night in a house.
I had to spend almost a week.
A week?
That's what he said in a Q&A after the movie.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did I zone out or something?
You may have zoned out, yeah.
He did say that.
He did say that, yeah.
What was
very much said that.
Where did my brain go?
This is why I'm the journalist.
Yeah.
And you are just you're the hanger-on that I drag around by
Is it possible that you were thinking
your
about
ludicrously annoying
I was
Did
thinking
you think about asking a question?
Yeah.
Because I thought about asking questions.
Yeah.
And I had questions, but they were sort of so what was going on there? Kind of thing, which you can't which you could do.
Right.
But, because there were a couple of things I wanted to ask.
Yeah, but I did that, the Michael Marshall Smith thing.
Yeah, I never forget the Michael Marshall Smith thing. I never forget the Michael Marshall
Jesus.
Smith thing.
Which bit?
The bit... He went to see an author, a science fiction author, who we both loved, called Michael Marshall Smith.
Like, I loved him at the time.
And he finally... And he asked... Jim summoned up the balls to ask a question.
Which had always bothered me about one of my favourite books. Like, what is this scene
But then he
all about?
But I seem to remember you did the classic question thing where you panicked while asking a question, and the question.
There was panic.
The question began to become many layered.
Yeah.
And then Marshall Smith basically went, "Don't know what he's talking about."
We still need some time. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm actually going to go with the cross option.
Well, what's the cross
like
option?
2 eggs, ham.
Oh, really?
Do it.
Ham and fries.
Potato.
Well, just because I think a burger's going to be too heavy.
Yeah, I need something kind of
be like a big lead midnight weight, which I don't need.
I feel like I need kind of like an omelette-y kind of affair.
An omelette is that I also thought of that as well.
I'm thinking like an omelette.
The trouble is, if they have disco fries and pizza fries, I kind of want both. That's grotesque, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
That is grotesque.
That is grotesque.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, mate.
That would be
grotesque.
disgusting. So anyway...
Sorry, what am I doing? What am I doing? Which point am I at? Was that in my Michael Marshall Smith story?
Yes, finish your Michael Marshall.
I think that was it. It was just... What happened was I got hotter and hotter, and the question would not end, and Michael Marshall Smith kept looking more and more confused. And people started actively booing me, right?
It all went horribly wrong.
Oh, we're not quite ready yet. Thanks, sorry. Yeah, they started actively
the vibrating of the table.
Yeah.
They started actively.
They started. I think I was
Marshall
booed.
Smith. He finally got to the end of his question after about 3 years, and Marshall Smith shook his head, looked around, and said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Next. Well, I mean, that was what it was like. It was that cutting because people went through sympathy into anger and just flat out impatience.
No, it's
said, "Go away."
It's always the worst.
Has that happened to you?
Oh, I'm having like post-traumatic.
It's never happened to me as a guy asking a question because I always.
I'm not going to like.
No, it was bad.
I'm not going to find you.
I still don't know the answer to that question.
Because to be honest, most of those Q&As, I don't raise my hand and ask a question unless I have a question that I know is open enough that it will
But your
create a story.
The question tonight was good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was originally going to ask, could you talk about what inspired the film? Because I saw the sentence in the end credits, but he sort of covered it in his previous answer. So then I dovetailed over to the New Zealand splatter thing, and then I suddenly realised I was like, oh wait, Elijah Wood, Peter Jackson, boom, there's my in.
Oh, it was good.
And away we go.
It was a top quality question.
It was a top quality question.
It was great.
The only other time I asked Glickenhaus 3 questions at a Q&A because no one else was after Shakedown. No one else was asking questions.
How could you not ask questions of Shakedown?
Right, so I was just like Glickenhaus, and then other people were like, anyone else? And I was like, another one about what it was like to film with Sam Elliott in Coney Island, and he trotted out another story, and then the interviewer was like, anyone else in the audience? And I was like, and another thing, I hear you knew Miles Davis. Tell me a story about that. So. We did that.
You did us proud, because there's nothing worse than questions. Anyone?
No, the worst one. The worst one is not at these kind of things. At these kind of things, it's normally okay because people are either too shy to ask a question or they ask a very direct question. You know what I mean?
You're going to say conventions, aren't you?
Yeah, at conventions where there's a mic.
Conventions at which John has appeared in an artistic capacity.
As a writer, as an author. As an author of the trilogy of the Barricade trilogy, the Kensterbeck trilogy. What's the official trilogy title?
It's called the Kensterbeck trilogy.
The Kensterbeck trilogy.
Yeah.
And it can be found on Amazon, right? At all the
Amazon.
Like very reasonably priced.
It can be found at all good Amazons.
And all good Barnes and Nobles.
It's a science. It's a science fiction for the Brexit generation.
Actually, it gets realer every day.
It does. It gets closer and closer as they throw up knob-like buildings in London skyline.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
do we know what we want? Because I know what I want.
I do.
We do know what we want now. Thank you. Can I get mushroom omelette?
No, all one bill is fine.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'll take care of it, John.
Mushroom omelette with hash browns.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to get 2 eggs fried with ham and French fries.
Sausage? Do you have?
Do you want them over easy or do you want them just sunny side up?
Sunny side up.
Sunny side up. I will take the chicken fingers, please. And can I get a side of disco fries with that, please? Does the chicken fingers come with like a dip, like a honey mustard or a ranch?
Honey mustard or barbecue, whatever.
Can I get one honey mustard and one ranch, please? Thank you.
And can I get an English breakfast tea with milk, please? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah, so at conventions, the worst one is when there's a mic there, right? And you've got 1,000 people in the room.
But that's a weird thing they do at American conventions, isn't it? Like everyone queues up.
Yeah, queue up in the central aisle.
Yeah.
And then there's always some guy, and you like both feel sorry for him and hate him instantly at the same time when he steps up to the mic and says the immortal words, I have a two-part question, at which point 75% of the audience all facepalm. All of them. Because you're like, no, you don't. What you have is a rambling series of observations that you think make you look intelligent and important.
Yes, but then I have seen
with
as well,
a slight question tagged on the end.
Because I went to a premiere of High Rise, and your man was there.
Who?
The director. What's his name?
Right, Wheatley.
Ben Wheatley.
Wheatley was
I
there.
was not a fan of High Rise.
Wheatley was there with a couple of other, a couple of other people. I think perhaps that co-writer he has.
Okay.
But I don't think there was
the big noises.
Anyway, this woman came up to ask a question. Now, she rambled. Everyone hated her. Yes, that's all true. She did ramble, but essentially, everyone knew what she asked.
Yeah,
and that does happen quite a lot. Is that people ramble and they trip over themselves, but people kind of understand what they're saying.
Of course.
And she was basically saying, it feels like this is a very political film.
Yeah.
And Wheatley said, no, it's not political at all. No, I just disagree with that. No, it's not political. And I thought, you ended your film with a Margaret Thatcher speech playing out of a radio. You can't say it's not political. You can't dismiss her question just because it was long and rambling.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He was like someone else at a convention saying, rubbish, sit down, shut up.
Yeah, which
but
is
actually,
a dick move.
she had a point.
That's a dick move.
She had a point, and he did just reject it because she'd asked the question badly.
And and look, I
feel her pain.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying
it wasn't as bad as you. No,
yeah.
I won't. We won't commonly see as bad as that.
But to be fair, probably my question was, all I was trying to do, right, was get him to remember the scene in the book.
Right.
I was just trying to go, what was happening with that scene? You know, the one where they were by the sea with his best friend. No, I don't. I wrote that book a long time ago. Come on, mate. It was your first book. I can't go, fair enough. Move on to the next question then. I've got to try and remind him what it is. Thank you very much.
Well, you could have said fair enough and moved on to the next
I could have done, but I was young and confused. Anyway, we should talk about the movie.
Yeah, we should. Come to Daddy.
Me being young.
Come to Daddy. Starring Elijah Wood, Stephen McHattie, Martin Donovan, and your favourite, Michael Smiley.
I bloody love Smiley.
And can we just talk quickly before we get into the plot about that cast? As each name came up on the credits at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, this is almost like Jon and Jim's ideal fucking cast, with McHattie kind of like yours and mine as well.
Yeah, I love McHattie.
But I love Donovan, and he's never in, because he's, he's a bit older and it's a bit presumably tougher to find parts, but he's so good.
And his timing in this was so good.
Mate, and all he gets now is like, I'm a government official that can't be trusted. Like, that's basically the only parts that anyone's given, because that's kind of what he looks like, I guess.
Right.
But like he was in
randomly in
Ant-Man. He was in Ant-Man. I hope they gave him like a shit ton of money for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But no,
I hope he bought a house.
The cast was exemplary. I mean, there really wasn't.
And you've got like Elijah Wood, who's been making really cool. And what I like is that it's clearly a choice.
Yeah.
He says, I'm just going to make weird genre films.
Well, what's it? Yeah.
I mean,
he
really had something to sink their teeth into as well. Like it was delightful. And as I was saying, as these names were coming up on the screen, I was going, smiling. And you
were like, Donovan. I fucking love Donovan.
Yeah.
I believe I even turned around and said.
And as it began, I was thinking, this had better live up to how excited I am now, because I'm very, very excited.
See,
as soon as the title came up, for some reason that title made me totally confident.
Yeah. Because it had that like 70s,
like a 70s
slightly like grainy vibe.
Yeah, and it was an amazing shot.
Yes,
it almost looked like a beautiful poster in its own right.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, it was right at the very beginning when the bus comes around the corner and that music was playing, because the music was super cool.
Yeah.
And like it was proper film music. It wasn't like a vague atmospheric thing. It was like, this is music, it's fucking music.
Yeah,
and there's a bus.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to like this film.
So what I like to think about Elijah Wood is that, and I can't confirm, but I feel like he made Lord of the Rings, and he did The Faculty, and he did his time in sort of the Hollywood stuff, and then peaked with Lord of the Rings, of course. And that probably, I would say, probably set him up. Like, the next thing he does is set up his own production company and starts doing a lot of these different things, whether it's Grand Piano or the Maniac remake, or which actually got a lot of kudos, even though it was a horror remake.
What remake?
The Maniac remake.
Maniac.
Which is a complete curiosity, because Elijah Wood, in terms of look and build, is the entire antithesis of your man from the original Maniac, who was... I'm going to forget his name now. He was like the New York character actor. He's in like, and I mean not just New York, but he's in Taxi Driver, he's in Rocky, he's in, what's his name?
Rocky and Taxi Driver.
Alright, what up your shit?
I'm gonna forget who it is now. That's gonna
just do the thing you do when you dub in later the name, and now you can move on.
Yes, of course. Anyway. I just made the unforgivable sin of forgetting the name of Joe Spinell, the amazing, great Joe Spinell, whom I adore, and I cannot believe that back on that April night in 2019, I couldn't remember Joe's name. I am so sorry. I just lost all, if any, kudos that I ever had, and cred. Damn it. Joe Spinell, of course. But yeah, Elijah Wood's totally the antithesis of him, but it's very cool. And then he's done Grand Piano, which we've covered, The Trust, which we've covered. The
Trust, which was the top 5 diner films of 2017 or 2018?
2016.
And we watched just the other night.
We watched it just the other night, and it lives up. It still lives up. Elijah Wood has to win the best delivered line of that movie, it's still the best bit, which is when he's made the outline of the room on the ground, and Nick Cage goes, "What happened there?" Like that, and he's like, "A bee flew into my face. It's not important." The way he did it. It's like, it took me 2 hours.
I really admire what Wood is doing. It's very admirable.
What I was going to say is, if you became a collector of Wood's films, and I would strongly suggest people do, imagine that shelf. Like, imagine the Elijah, which it would have such a vast array of, like, really groovy mid-level movies. And I tell you why, it's because so many people are saying now, like, no one's making that mid-range movie. And although these budgets might not be mid-range, they look like
you're right.
solidly
the Trust is like
mid-budget.
an old-fashioned thriller. But just brilliant.
Thriller, horror, drama, comedy, and that the Netflix one, which I don't think ever got a Blu-ray release, but I don't feel safe in this world anymore, whatever that one's called. Which I also loved, and he's doing really interesting things in each one as well.
Yeah, he's a different character. He's not just like I'm Elijah Wood. He's like
a lot of
times
with other actors and other people. I mean, there's the other thing that you've got to admire. Actually, I really like Cage, no matter what he does, because he makes such strange choices.
Yeah.
But it's really, really nice that in a lot of cases you'll find yourself have a conversation about some actor or some director, and why won't they do this? Why won't they have some kind of artistic integrity? And people go, well, you're living in dreamland. Like, why would they do that and all the rest of it? But he's made the money. He's got himself into a nice position, and he's doing really interesting things.
Really interesting.
It's great.
Yeah, he's definitely one. It's
he's clearly not like banging on the door of the Marvel Studios, going, "Have you got a part for me in there?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's decided to do interesting things,
right? Which I love, which I just think is fantastic, and long may it continue, and big applause to him.
Sure.
And because it's like it's got to be more fascinating, hasn't it? Like, it's got to be more fascinating. And to be fair, if you're Elijah Wood, you're not going to go the route of like being the big muscle-bound, handsome leading man, because it's not necessarily who you can play at the most success. He plays the Hobbit, well, but like, he's not going to ever be, he's not Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans or any of these Chris's, knocking about the shop.
Right.
He's his own damn thing, and hallelujah about that.
Absolutely.
And also, like, it's funny, Mandy, that came out at the end of last year, talking about Nick Cage. Mandy was a movie that made by George Cosmatos' son. George Cosmatos who made like Tombstone and Rambo.
He really should credit himself as son of Cosmatos.
Son of Cosmatos. Panos Cosmatos. And it was sort of tailor-made for the indie weirdo cult audience, almost to a degree that almost spoiled it. Like, it almost went too far in the kind of artsy-fartsy horror, thriller, art, weird movie. Like, it almost tried to be too achingly cult. I was a little worried that Come to Daddy was maybe going to go the same way, but it didn't. It has a lot of similar elements in terms of like the violence and the gore and the characters and things like that, but it never drifts, I don't think, into like pretentious territory without knowing that it's being pretentious.
But have you summarised the story?
No,
I
try and summarise the story, but without really spoiling the like turnabout in the middle of it.
Okay, all right.
There's a twist in the middle that I want to remain.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So the basic story is Elijah Wood gets sent a letter by a father he hasn't seen for years. The father left him when he was 5, and Elijah Wood turns up, and Elijah Wood is quite clearly like a hipster.
Yeah.
He's wearing all the hipster gear. He's come from LA, but he could have come from Brooklyn, so he's a real proper hipster. Turning up in the middle of nowhere, and he's following a map through these woods to get to this house eventually. It's going to be his father's house.
That he describes looking like a flying saucer from the 1960s.
Right.
Because it kind of does. It's jutted out on a rocky crag.
And his father is played by Stephen McHattie.
From Pontypool fame.
From Pontypool. And what transpires over the movie is that basically Elijah Wood feels the whole setup is weird, and he doesn't know why his dad's asked him there, and his dad refuses to talk about why he's there. He's almost hostile, while at the same time sort of interested. Like, there's definitely a weird vibe between them and a weird vibe in the house.
Yeah.
And it starts off, I think, like a kind of a haunted house picture.
Yes.
Because there's something going on in this house and it's not right. That whole thing of like someone visiting, like usually like an old crumbling stately home or whatever, there's something not right in the house, that kind of thing. And that happens for a bit. And then it kind of turns into more of a different kind of movie. And then it becomes another movie in the end too. There's almost like 3 movies, I think.
Yes.
But they all fly. But the movies are reflective of what's happening in the story. It's not like there's not like gear changes or anything.
No.
It's like the logical extension of where the story is leading.
Yeah.
Is that a fair summary?
That's fine.
I usually miss something really important.
One would say,
because you can't get into too many details here. I think it was really coherent. I mean, they talked that woman at the end who was asking questions was not awfully good, and she sort of made out like, oh, it's all over the place kind of thing. Like, well, I didn't feel all over the place to me at all.
No.
It felt very strong of one piece. It felt very much like a play in many ways. It could be made as a play. That's what I was going to ask him, because there wasn't really a question to ask there, but it felt a lot like a play.
That beginning scene of McHattie and Will when they first talked to each other, it was very like a play. The way there was the pauses between them, and they were speaking in a very kind of stilted way.
Yeah.
But there was clearly something going on, and it wasn't naturalistic. It was something. There was like a performance there, which now I think about it, I guess is because they're, without going into too much detail, they were one more than the other putting on a performance.
Yeah. Yes.
Now I think back, it makes sense actually to like. Well, they might even, that might even have been in their heads.
And
it did remind me strongly of that.
I am now realising there are things that I don't understand that I will not be able to resolve during this podcast because it would give things away. Things I don't understand.
I think what we're going to do is let's talk about kind of generalities for like the next 15 minutes. And then in the last 15 minutes, I'm going to say spoilers from this point on, and we'll resolve all that stuff.
Could I talk about one thing at the beginning? It doesn't spoil anything. That very deeply.
Well, I just wanted to finish up the description.
Oh, right,
of the movie
fair enough, mate.
Very quickly, a couple of things. It's essentially It essentially hovers around a father-son drama that also becomes a kind of comically violent sort of descent into one of those nights where you start off one place and end up somewhere entirely different. In a clever, funny, twisty way. That, yes, feels perfectly linear and is also very engaging, but is also surprising. That's how I would
say there's not that many films I could think of that made me laugh out loud as many times as this film did. While also I was unable to look at the screen and certain points of it. Like I probably had my hands over my eyes. Going, I was doing that.
There are bits.
They were like, without talking about the bits, they were like, oh my god. Got chicken fingers. Lovely. Wow.
Sunny.
That's it. Thank you. Mushroom, lovely. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thank you.
Here is 2.
Smash. Thank you.
Whoa. He just purposely banged and knocked and whatever the phone about. I don't even know why. It was just, that was like...
He doesn't like people leaving. He's probably doesn't like people leaving the phone to play because he's accidentally spilled something on a phone once and, I don't know, might have been big trouble.
Well, I mean, wow, Jim just went deep into his backstory. Sorry,
whacking it won't help that.
Yeah, no. Whacking it will only...
solution.
Yeah. Cool. So, continue, Chief. What were you saying about...
Okay, so there's the bit at the beginning that I found, and I've been interested to know if like John felt the same way, but that I found like really resonated with me, like that connected with me, was him being in his dad's house, like in the middle of the night, and it being this like spooky mystery of like your dad's life.
Sorry, that was a cameo by the farting ketchup on.
But do you know what I mean? Like when you go and visit your divorced dad when you're a teenager,
right?
Like their house and where they live, or in Dad's case, the flat. But even actually in the house when you move, it's like it contains like the mysteries of his life,
right?
Of his new life, his old life, things you don't know about him, and you're like this weird interloper.
Yeah.
Because you're not. It's not like your mum's house, or whatever, where like it's your house, it's her house, everybody's things are there. It's like you're coming to visit him, but this is his world, and where he lives and what he does and all these things you don't really understand. That he's this whole other person you don't really know.
Yeah. Right.
And there's this bits when he's like walking around in the middle of the night. Like it really strongly reminded me of that, like of that feeling of like wanting to know your dad, but also being a bit like worried about what you might find.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the thing about Wood as a performer that's really amazing is his eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Peter Jackson got it. Is because he's very moving as a performer, and there were a couple of moments in the film that were very moving and very small moments but very moving. Him rushing back to his bed and jumping in.
Yeah.
Is something that we've all done in some way or another, and was very moving. And also another thing that we've all done that I found quite moving was the coroner saying to him, "Are you going to be all right?" And he was like, "I hope so." And he went, "No, definitely, I'll be all right." And you could see in his eyes like, "I'm not going to be all right.
Yeah.
This is not all right."
Well, I thought what was interesting about it was that it all the characters to some extent are very stylized. Even the like smaller characters, the police guy, the coroner, things like that. They all have their guy behind the desk at the motel. That they're all a very kind of, well, I'm going to make the people of this small town have their own kind of quirk about them, and it's a quirk that kind of runs through those three subsidiary characters. But it manages to very deftly not fall into a parody of itself, like trying to be too clever and writing a lot of sort of, uber quirky people could really make this film problematic. And instead,
it could annoy you.
It could annoy you.
Annoying.
But instead, he keeps it limited enough and like subtle enough and like you say, moving enough and funny enough that he actually walks that tightrope so that you kind of, it's almost a reprieve when those characters show up. It's almost that's the moment in this horror movie, this drama movie, this ghost, whatever it is, this film where you can take a breath.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's almost, it's not like the Badurda comic relief. It's not like a bunch of clowns come in, but like,
it's also the feeling of like not wanting to waste anything.
Yes.
Like we need a character to come in here and do this thing, right? They need to come in, and let's not waste that. And in the case of the cop, let's make Elijah Wood feel like let's underline that he feels uncomfortable and weird and not right in this whole situation. Like he doesn't know how to feel, you know. Like am I grieving? Am I angry? Am I afraid? You know, like and then there's the cop who's not making it. And like the cop doesn't treat him like he's grieving. The cop doesn't treat him like he should be afraid. He's treating him like all over the place, which means that Wood's all over the place too. So it's like a nice, like let's not waste anything. Like we should, you know, and that's what's great about a really good, you know, low budget picture or mid budget picture is that you've got to have. I feel like you've got to have the attitude of we can't waste a fucking second. You know what I mean? It's going to be quick. We haven't got a lot of money, so every single moment needs to land, and we can't be wasting our time.
But also, any single moment.
It's not like we need to get to the big set piece. It's like it's all set piece.
Yes.
Everything is what we're here for.
And it you know, whether it's the slight chemistry that he has with the coroner, which is very obvious,
which is really good too, because it's not as if it's not laid on with a chat. It's like just genuine.
Also, what I liked about it was that she wasn't some, you know, young ingenue hottie coroner. She was believable and you know, beautiful, but in a normal way, like in a and then she was like her husband had passed away, so there was she felt like a real woman, like a well-rounded woman, and yet the chemistry, despite Elijah Wood being like completely odd-looking and her being in the best possible terms like a normal-looking person, you almost wanted something you almost wanted them to like, you know, have sex or something, because you almost wanted to like break that tension. And that speaks to not just the writing, but the performance by both the people. Because it's not like they're like doing that trick where you look down at each other's lips. Have you heard this trick? No. There's an actor trick that if you want like instant chemistry on film, as you're talking, not only do you get slightly quieter, but you look down at each other's lips. And they weren't even doing that. And it wasn't even like the dialogue was particularly highly like sexualized or anything. No. They just, the way it was written, the way it was filmed, and the way it was acted.
I'll tell you what it was. The reason it works is it's the only time anybody treats Elijah Wood in the way that he needs to be treated in that moment. Yeah. He offers him sympathy and understanding. Yeah. That's it, because it's not sexual. Like that's clear from when he calls her later. I don't think, and even he doesn't want that. He just wants an even more. I mean, there's obviously like a motherly thing going on there,
right?
But the cop, you know, doesn't treat him in a consistent way. The other characters don't treat him in it. He never knows what the whole movie. He doesn't know who he's supposed to be. Like his whole outfit screams identity crisis. I mean, he doesn't know who he's supposed to be, so he dresses like a particular thing to solve that problem. Even when he writes his occupation on the coroner's form, he has to think for a minute and then writes artist. You know, so it's the only time in the movie where anyone thinks this is a man in need of sympathy and understanding, and gives him that thing, and he's pathetically grateful.
But it's also
understandably grateful.
It's also a director
pathos in the real sense of the term.
Yeah, it's a director and writer playing with the various different types of tension. Whether it's the tension of, you know, something's not quite right here, whether it's the tension of, I don't know who this guy is, whether it's the tension of, oh shit, I might get arrested for this situation.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. That scene with the cop, there's so many things like, where's this going?
Yeah.
You know? Why is he not saying what really happened? I mean, I get why he does it.
And then sexual tension, or, you know, romantic tension with the thing, and it's playing with all those different types in a really interesting way. And there is a way to make this movie where the writer-director is not interested in any of that. What the writer-director is just interested in is,
gore.
There's a bunch of criminals, we're going to have some gore and some fights and some whatever, right? And that's all in there. But by playing it and writing it and building it up the way Ann Timpson does, it makes it a far more enjoyable and a far deeper ride than if it was just, if it was just like a Bagman, right? The Bagman was fine, but it was what it was. It wasn't interested or concerned with any of the characters, really,
Right.
Not in the same way that this was.
Yeah.
It reminded me of... It had aspects of some of my favourite films. So there's the element of the guy arriving into an unusual situation, being at sea. A guy arriving in an unusual location, being at sea. So there's elements of Bad Day at Black Rock, Red Rock West, U-turn kind of trapped in a strange situation, things spiraling out of control. But it's also very personal and one-to-one. For almost the entire thing, he's normally dealing with one person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like that movie, which I've been trying to think of the name, with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier.
Sleuth.
Oh, Sleuth. Oh, by the way, the guy who was in the original Maniac and Rocky and was called Joe Spinell.
There you go.
Sorry, carry on.
But it just had great aspects of that, and those are my favourite kinds of film because they give you the whole premise of it is you don't know where things are going to head next.
Right.
It was just a thrill to see that it was going to go that way.
But that can also be dangerous because if you don't know where it's going and then it goes to a place that disappoints you, you can also lose the audience that way. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Which is why Donovan was so fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, there was no disappointing once Donovan showed up.
That's true. He was right in there too. There was no introduction. It was just him.
Yeah.
And it was great.
I mean, she was right. The woman who was asking the question was right to say it started off and you thought this could be a sort of gentle, slightly kooky number.
Right.
And to be honest, I didn't really think it was going that way. I was thinking that something good's coming here. That was the best thing. When you are literally, you are watching the film, rubbing your hands with glee about what's going to happen next.
I mean, there was
that is how the film plays out.
Yeah,
that's why anyone should watch it, and anyone will enjoy it. For me, I think anyone will enjoy it.
Yeah,
is that it's one of those films where you are excited about what is going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was sat there for 5 minutes thinking, wait, is this going to be a zombie film? Even like there was
I
loads
wondered
of
that too. I was like, where's this going? Yeah.
Or even like a Hamlet Father's Ghost type thing could have.
Right, it was all on the table.
Yeah.
It was so obviously a weird, like John's saying, like a weird situation. But it's obviously a movie too.
Yeah.
Like it had. I don't know. There's something about it when you're watching a film where you know you're watching a movie. It's an entertainment, and that feeling of something is coming. That it could have been anything. It could have been a zombie. It could have been a ghost story. At what point are we going to do the spoilers thing? Because I really want to talk about John's question.
No, but so in general, then to sum up our overall general appreciation.
Awesome, fiendish.
Loved the acting.
Yeah.
Loved the direction. I thought the direction was really good. There was a couple of handheld bits that I thought, I would have personally done differently, that I would have maybe pulled the camera back a bit, but I totally understand why they did it the way they did it, and it didn't detract or ruin the film for me. Outside of that, really well directed, nice choices, especially well written, very good pace.
I never felt like it dragged.
No, very good pace.
It wasn't too long.
No,
it was an hour and 40 minutes, something like
that. And I mean, definitely, it doesn't currently have distribution in the US, but hopefully it will. I can only imagine that after the success of Mandy, not that it's. Please don't think I'm comparing it to Mandy. I'm comparing it to Mandy in the sense that it's a small to mid-budgeted movie, that has a lot of like cult genre elements in it. But
I think it'd be perfect for Netflix because it's exactly the kind of movie that you'd watch it and you'd think, that was great. I'm going to tell people that was a great film.
I think RLJE will pick it up, or A to Z will pick it up. One of those two. I really do, because they're the ones that have been putting out this genre stuff.
Right.
They put out like the Mum and Dad movie with Nick Cage and Selma Blair, the Neverleen Taylor, whatever they're called, the guys who made Crank. They put out Mandy. I think they put out The Trust, or someone like that put out The Trust. So it'll find distribution, but it deserves to be a big cult hit, even more so than Mandy. Because after watching this, I have even less time for Mandy after watching this. Because I'm like, right, yeah, this is what a movie should be. Yeah, that's how I feel. All right, so from this moment on, we're going to spoil the hell out of it, and turn it off.
Everyone was really good, but I'm just speaking personally here. I really love Martin Donovan, mostly from the Hal Hartley movies, but I just think he's a really, really great actor, and he hasn't done anything in such a long time. And he wasn't just good; he was funny and answered like questions about Elijah Wood's character, and it was just he was really, really great.
Yeah.
All right, so we can do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, what I want to know is, why, are you supposed to, well, all of them have had their own ideas, the cast, the writers and everything, about why, at the beginning, the imposter is not immediately taking care of Elijah Wood, why he plays games with him the way he does.
I think because
because he knows the father and he's seeing something of the father in the kid.
Because his own son killed himself. So that is rest. So there's something there.
Yeah.
Looking to find out maybe why. But I think on a practical level, the reason it happens straight off is he's clearly not answering that question. He's clearly not giving them what they want. And Elijah Wood represents, if nothing else, potential leverage. Tell us what we want.
What you're saying is Martin Donovan is not answering the question.
Right. That's my. It's twofold. I think initially he could be leverage,
which we can spoil it now. So
what is it in England again? I forget. Leverage. Okay. Leverage, and also then I think he becomes fascinated with his character.
Yeah.
And like, why would you?
So the big twist is Stephen McHattie is not his dad. He's a criminal friend of his dad's who dies of a heart attack, and Elijah Wood finds his dad tied up in a basement being tortured for information by Michael Smiley in ridiculous false teeth and a big 80s hair metal wig.
Yeah.
Michael Smiley reminds me of the guy out of Fargo, the Danish guy. What's his name?
Peter Stormare.
Peter Stormare. Is he Danish? Swedish?
Yes, I think he's Danish.
So he's like the Irish Peter Stormare, I think. That's what I kind of think of him as.
Yeah, I mean, it could well be. I mean, the thing I always think about Smiley is that the film that showed that he could actually really do something was Kill List. Otherwise he has tended to get these sorts of parts, but he does them so well. That's why he gets them. He just does them really well. Just oozes character and charisma. So people, just anyone who wants, I really want to get someone who's just gonna, throw people and get people interested in this part. They cast Smiley. He's fabulous.
But you could almost see Peter Stormare doing the role as well.
Yeah, but I don't know whether Storm has done a Kill List
he's done a bunch of he's done
a bigger part.
Yeah, he has done. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Smiley's magnificent.
I really wanted to ask in the Q&A, why Michael Heseltine? I mean, we got it. The three of us got it, but we are maybe the only people in the cinema who did.
Yeah.
But I did like that.
Explain that, Jim.
There's a bit near the end where Michael Smiley says that he had sex with Elijah Wood's mum, but lost his erection halfway through because in a certain light his mum looked like Michael Heseltine, which we all guffawed. because Michael Heseltine is this British politician from the 80s.
It's a weird reference.
But it's a weird reference in a Canadian, New Zealand co-production. Like to throw Michael. But then when he goes, if you didn't know, Michael Heseltine is a British politician from the 1980s. And it's like, it was maybe his like last line, right? Nearly.
No, his last line was when he stabbed him in the head with the receipt, whatever those things are called. The receipt point or whatever. He goes, Arthur, and then I falls over, which was amazing.
But I did want to ask, why Michael Heseltine? There's got to be a story. Like, why Michael Heseltine?
The only bit where they leaned towards what sounds like you're saying may have been the fault with Mandy was when he went to the motel. The motel crept close to being...
It almost spoiled it for me,
It did,
but it just about worked.
It's because they had to get into that. They had to get into the road because the him being in the crash and the sign being through the seat, but him not being there, that was kind of spooky. And then him walking down the road in that kind of lolloping way, and that horrible thing with his brain pulsing out of his skull. That was all that bit. All of that was amazing. But getting there and the prostitute and the swinger, it didn't
the guy reading the Big Tits magazine.
Yeah, it was like
it was a bit. And I didn't understand why the guy left. I didn't even understand what Elijah Wood was saying to him.
It didn't quite. It just. I get why they had to take him out of the house,
but that felt a little bit unfinished to me. That whole sequence. But it didn't matter because it was over almost as soon as it began, and
it was
it
almost
moved on to something quite.
Considering the graphic violence we'd had up until that point, I'm not sure we needed graphic nudity as well.
There's probably something there with clearly Elijah Wood. There's definitely like a sexual repression, I guess, to it because there's no talk of a girlfriend. He clearly has a complicated relationship with his mother, very clingy. He doesn't really want to have sex with the coroner so much as lie next to her.
Do you sleep with your mother?
That's right. Yeah. In the bed, he was really. So I think there was something in the motel with the swingers and having to go through that kind of sex thing to get to this room where there was like more weird sex thing and again a slightly cruel motherly woman that he was hoping to trust but didn't trust him. You know what I mean? There was like something there, but it just didn't. It could be they just didn't have enough time. Maybe they had lots of time in the house. Or maybe only like a day in the motel or something. So they didn't have time to do the same, not like workshopping exactly, but just like tightening it up to go, what are we really talking about here? What's this for?
Also, it's sort of it's sort of also a really difficult trick to pull off is the idea that he's going through a really weird, violent, alienating, insane experience. I'm not always sure if the best idea is then to put more insanity around him. His journey's already pretty crazy. If you then spoon on even more,
that's what I mean.
It can be difficult. Like, for example, I love the bit in Eyes Wide Shut where he's having the weird night, like the bit in the middle.
Yes, do you know what? That's another good example of the kind of films it is, like Eyes Wide Shut and After Hours and things like that.
It is. Whereas the difference between Eyes Wide Shut and After Hours and this one is that the protagonists in those two movies are observers. The insanity around them doesn't touch them in quite the same way whereas in this, Elijah Wood is a definite protagonist. He's definitely being a culpable part of what is going on. And so I think a slightly subtler hand in the motel would have ramped this up from like a 4 out of 5 to a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, and it wasn't the thing. I mean, let's be absolutely clear. This is the ultimate in nitpicking.
Oh yeah, totally.
Just finding things to talk about. But quite a lot of the rest of the film was really fucking spooky.
Yeah.
And about sound.
Yeah.
A big part of it was about sound.
Yeah.
And that was sort of lost there. And if he'd have gone, they could have gone to another location. That would have been fine. It's just it wasn't spooky.
No.
And there was a spookiness to the rest of the film.
Yeah,
it was really, really.
It was because
the sounds that were being made during the.
That's
and when he realised that if he banged, the bang would respond.
Cool.
Yeah, well, that was the point where I started to think, started to wonder if it was something that I hoped it wasn't, which was, I hope this isn't all some mind thing, like it's a projection of his screwed up personality or something. Because I started to think the fact that he's banging twice and the noise is banging twice was like he's projecting this stuff into all of his head. I was like, please don't go there, and it didn't. So I
also didn't want it to be that because he had committed suicide and had a difficulty with drink, that this was some sort of weird thing where his mum had sent him off and set up this thing where he would be tried and tested to prove to himself that he really wanted to live.
No,
you know what I mean? Like some weird twist at the end where they're like, well, we were all actors and we did it just to kind of like pull you out.
But one of the reasons as well why I love Donovan so much in the movie is that the answer to that question, like, what's causing the spookiness, what's causing the noise, what's going on here, right? That could be, when you set anything up, right, as like, what is going on here, what's happening, when you answer that question, you run the risk of either over-explaining it to justify the thing, or like being disappointing. But to time it and film it in a way that you answer the question at the same time, that's when you find out, like, not only what's been going on here, but the dad upstairs is not your dad. This is your dad.
Yeah.
And the way Donovan just started, you have to get me out of here because this guy's coming. There's no like, hey kid, blah, whatever. Like, there's no fluff, no filler. It's just this is now a whole other. You're in a whole other movie now. You're not in this.
And I laughed at that point, but it was almost like a laugh of delight.
Yeah.
That we're just going to keep on motoring away.
Yeah. The guy's going to come down in a minute and torture me, and you've got to kill him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was
it was a really good
it's like you're not in a haunted house movie anymore. Now you're in a mob film.
Right.
You know, and what are you going to do about it? You know?
Yeah. And it was to tie that together with this idea of all of Elijah Wood's life has been predicated not only on a lie but like on other people's misery and madness.
Yeah, the
realization of that.
All their futures, all the people that he killed, like have led like presumably miserable, gribbly lives.
No, it's not just that.
And has allowed him to wander around with his like limited edition phone and he's that's the thing. It's not that thing where he's clearly done nothing with his life.
Right.
You know, I mean, whatever he was given, all this money, all this pain, all this chaos that was caused, was to give him a life that he's done literally nothing with.
Right.
Which I've only just realised just now.
Except to like almost drink away and almost kill himself over.
Yeah.
Like he's in Beverly Hills, lives in a mansion with his mum who dotes on him. He's got a limited edition phone, all the swanky, wanky clothing he could want. And his answer to that is, I'm going to drink too much and maybe kill myself.
And he admits that he ruined his mum's life as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some sympathy for that because I thought, you know, if we were really going to talk about that, even if you felt like you did that, like, I'm sure like mums with like single mums deal with that kind of thing all the time. I don't think it's impossible to get over. You know what I mean? And he's not some like he's clearly not some great psychological wizard. Do you know what I mean? Capable of driving people away. I'm sure he like threw tantrums and was a total brat, but like you can get past that. But it was still interesting to think that all of this pain and all of this suffering that all these people have been through and is happening in that house was all to provide Elijah Wood with a life that he's completely pissed away on nothing, on bullshit.
But it was nice though, because I did think what was nice is they sort of implied with the film's ending and all the rest of it that the one thing that's really like mattered and been good and it is that he has come so in spite all the grimness. They have kind of made a connection at the end of it. Which is
and even the story that Elijah tells about his mum, it wasn't about, you know, I didn't like other men or I didn't, you know, it was all about I was hoping you would come back. Like, that's what it was all for. And you're right, it was, and then to cut that footage. I wanted to ask that as well.
Okay, so that's my other question. That's my other question I don't understand. When has the dad sent the letter? Has the dad sent the letter before these people turn up? Or has he sent it... How does that...
I think he knows they're closing in. That's what I think. I think he knows they're closing in and that he's out of money. Or maybe he's just out of money.
But why would he invite his son into that situation?
Well, so there's two things. One, I think he's obviously hiding out, right? That's why he's in a place that's miles away from a road. You can't really get to it, all that, right? You get a special map. Right. So presumably, if he's out of money, or that he's heard that they're catching up with him, he doesn't want to leave, because if he's out in the open then they're going to find him. He doesn't want to go to Elijah Wood because that will lead him.
Yeah, I can't imagine they immediately showed up and immediately chained him up in the basement. Like, there was probably a period of time
I think it's like
especially if they were all friends.
I just like a timeline didn't quite click. I thought, well, how's that work?
Why
has he invited him?
No, he invited him before they turned up. He invited him, sent him the letter. Because my guess is Elijah Wood doesn't get the letter and then just go, right? Like, Elijah Wood's not a character that would do something like that. Elijah Wood would like talk with his mum and debate it and think about it. Should I go and should I not? You know, because the letter itself is like, you know, I don't blame you if you don't want anything to do with me, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it takes a couple of weeks to come out, and he writes the letter knowing, I think, you know, that I'm out of money, and I think they're closing, and I think they're coming, and I think they might have found me. So he wants Elijah Wood to come out, and maybe selfishly, Elijah Wood. Let's say Elijah Wood gets there before they all turn up, right? Then Martin Donovan can say to him, "Listen, these people are coming, and I need your help. P.S. Your life is because of me. Like, all your money, all your life. So you owe me. I need your help." Because if Martin Donovan's betrayed his partners and lived on his own, he knows nobody. He has no friends, nobody he can turn to. So maybe in that moment of crisis, with no more money and people are coming to him, the only person he can ask for a favour is his kid.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I still don't think it quite works. I don't care, but I still don't think it quite works because... Yeah, I don't know.
But why wouldn't he send a letter?
Because it just seems too coincidental that he sends a letter to bring out Elijah Wood and then they arrive and torture him for like 4 or 5 days. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was just a question I had while I was watching this. How does that...
I think you have to think about the letter as being at least a couple of weeks old. At least.
Okay. Anyway, one of the things which added to the specialness of the evening.
I think we're all done, right?
Good, thank you.
Do we want anything else?
No.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any water, Jim, or can I?
I wouldn't mind it actually. If you don't mind.
Could I have some more water then, please? Thank you. So what added to the specialness?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is very special. So we walked down in, borderline thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Got there really quite soggy. And we walked into really quite a hostile, weirdo hotel kind of event.
Yeah, it's a very strange cinema that's at the top of a hotel. And we've been there a couple of times, me and Crossy, and both times we've gotten lost and had to ask hotel, presumably regularly annoyed hotel receptionists who are constantly having to point people.
And it had a sort of weird convention centre sort of feeling to it.
And there were a lot of Stepford wives hanging around.
There were a lot of lizard people, very, very nicely done up. So it was all a bit...
There was one point where John and I were just coming up to the escalator, and I said, I do kind of feel that, like the world's end, at some point their heads are going to swivel a bit, they're all going to point at us, and then they're going to run at us en masse and try and devour me whole.
Yeah. It was all a bit like that. And going up the steps, I didn't think this is going to be a disaster, but I was thinking, I'm not sure what this is going to be like.
Right.
Because to be honest, it didn't feel like a film festival venue, did it? I mean, you were saying before we got there, like, this doesn't feel like a film festival venue. It feels like somewhere where you go for, an insurance salesman convention, doesn't it?
And it's probably difficult because Tribeca doesn't have all of the cinemas.
Yeah, but when we got up there, there were very, very friendly staff behind the whole experience from the moment we reached that floor was excellent. Really, really, really nice staff, stinging staff. I went along to a little grabby machine and won something.
Won a duck for Margot,
Went into the screening and they announced that Elijah Wood and the director were going to be there.
We had no idea that was going to happen.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
They do a little queue at the end.
And then it was the premiere, which I didn't realise.
And it was a world premiere. You asked a question and you got it out in coherent sentence, unlike here. And they
liked answering it too.
They did.
And then cherry on the cake afterwards, your host listeners marched up to Elijah Wood, quivering. But concealing the quivering very well. I must say, he didn't look like a quivering wreck. And asked him about if he'd like to speak on the diner, and also
I got his publicist's name.
Picture taken with the other actor whose name I've forgotten.
Steve McHattie.
So it couldn't have been.
Yeah, there was all this mild hobnobbing afterwards. In which,
but it was very impressive hobnobbing.
I kind of threw the after movie diner out there and sprinkled it about the place.
Yeah,
and they were very happy to have it sprinkled.
Yeah,
you were working the net.
I was,
and they wanted your sprinkles.
They did.
They were actively inquiring.
And it just contrasts so much with our experience where we went to see Captain Marvel, where the whole thing was just sort of from start to finish. Went along and got some hideous popcorn, which he ate all of and made him ill. Very, very, very average. I mean, the most average of average films.
It is so average.
And then wandering out to a huge sea of thousands of people coming out to see the new Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And sort of generally feeling that it had been sort of perfectly average, sort of an experience.
It was like those Marvel films where, like in the Marvel films, there's a few bits like, that was kind of funny, and that was a bit sparky, and that was an interesting set piece. It was like a Marvel movie with all those bits taken out. There was no spark or flash to it at all.
But the thing is that we had loads of people there tonight watching the Avengers film. They were all in, sort of dressed up, cosplay, whatever it is. I just thought, it's sort of weird mix of sort of hope and despair, sort of a thing of going, I can't believe all those people are over there watching that film, which they're going to have every chance to watch for a million times over the next year. This thing is going to be out, showing in every bloody theatre again and again. But at the same time, it's really great that these films are still being made.
Yeah, and it was full.
That's the
first row. That first row that was like a foot away from the screen was completely full. So the whole cinema was full.
Although he was right, 8 people walked out during
the super violent bit.
Were they walking out about that?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were. Because it was like an old couple.
It was an older couple. And there was in the movie, spoilers again, there's a sequence where he takes a meat fork and eviscerates a man's genitals. Let's just say that.
That was a bit that I could look at, while at the same time deeply enjoying that.
And an old couple got up and left, as if to be like, well, I didn't know it was going to be this sort of film.
I didn't know it was going to be forks in balls.
Yes, I didn't know there was going to be forks and balls.
A ball forking movie.
I'm going to take my wife out there.
There's that
you've seen one ball forking movie, you've seen them all.
There's that negative side of it. She's going to something like Captain Marvel, and you think, this is what we're pumping out now. There's so much of this. It's like, I have to say, I thought Captain Marvel started in quite a nicely batshit way, but then it just settled into the same rhythms as most of these things. There's positive things about the kind of stories it's telling and the characters and stuff, but it's all a bit average, really.
Right.
And these things are being churned out in more and more industrial scale. Your Disney's owning it after bloody, owns just everything and making it a commodity. But at the same time, when I look at your DVD shelves at home, and I was spotting all the diner movies that you've been doing over the years, I was thinking, well, despite everything, there is a quite nice drip of interesting. Well, you always get a bit. They are there to be seen. You just wish a few more people would get out and support them.
It's interesting that a lot of the times a vacuum in the entertainment industry is often filled pretty quickly. For example, when DVDs and Blu-rays on shelves in stores started to dwindle, and when less and less films were being released on DVD and Blu-ray, especially from the past, companies like Arrow, Blue Underground, Olive Films, Vinegar Syndrome, whatever, crop up, Shout Factory, Scream Factory, crop up and start pumping them out in like deluxe editions and da-da-da-da-da. And likewise, I think that as you have, and we just were reading today, interestingly, something that used to be a mid-range production house, Lionsgate, that used to make their bones with either the Saw franchise, like either horror films or like Statham action, mid-range Statham action pictures. That's what Lionsgate used to do. Lionsgate have tried to like become like a mini major and started to make these movies. One of the ones they did was some young adult book I haven't heard about, but they went, oh, this would be great. We'll cast Daisy Ridley from Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
And who's the other chap?
Tom Holland, right?
Tom Holland from Spider-Man. This is bound to be a hit, and instead, it's $100 million unwatchable mess that they've had to go back and do.
It's based on that Patrick Ness
insane reshoots
book. So Patrick Ness wrote, I can't remember the hell it was called. It was really, really good.
I know his name,
but I've only read one of his books, and it's a really good one about a kid that wakes up in. It's like Phantoms, basically. Like a kid wakes up in a world that's completely empty, and he's trying to figure out what happened. And it's quite cool. But he also wrote this series of
I don't know.
Chaos Walking, I think, is what it's called that. And I remember reading the synopsis, because the basic synopsis is it's a world where you hear everybody's thoughts, right? I think that's.
I don't know. I didn't read about it.
They land on a planet. It's like they land on a new planet, the human race, and one of the side effects of this planet is they can hear other people's thoughts, and they get driven mad, and there's a war, and there's a whole thing. But I remember thinking, how are you going to do a movie where every character can hear every other character? So you can do that in a book, okay? Because you can select.
That's bloody hard to do in a book,
right? But so you can select which character and what they're hearing, and you can come up with things, right? But in a movie, that's got to be tough. That you can hear everything all the time.
Well, even when it happens, like there's that episode of Buffy where she suddenly starts to be able to hear everyone. Yeah. And like the interesting thing they do in Buffy, the interesting thing they do in Buffy is they have it drive her mad, and within 40 minutes. She kind of gets the affliction and then starts to really suffer from the affliction, and then they have to like solve the affliction. But you can't really do that over a 2-hour movie. Anyway, my point was that with companies like Lionsgate, that used to be the bastion of mid-range movies, and other ones like Miramax and the Weinstein Company, I know now with Weinstein and blah blah blah, but I just mean those mid-range studios making bigger and bigger films. Companies like RLJE and A to Z and other companies like that and Blumhouse is another great example, all swarmed into the vacuum.
What is it? It's because
they started off like what was interesting about RLJE was they started off just doing like DVD distribution of like a Canadian film here and an Australian film there and a like mid-range English movie here and a made in Iowa kind of low budget picture there, and then built up to like now they do some distribution, some production, blah 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 blah, and it's just like
I think it's the streaming thing like Netflix. What they want is like $4 or $5 million pictures. They want as many of them as they can get, as long as they're good. What they want is they want good. They don't want flashy and splashy, and it's not about like.
But not a lot of them are very good. I mean,
no, that's not. No. What do you mean? Which
a lot of the Netflix films aren't very good.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, dude, there are a ton. I guarantee you haven't watched them all, but there's like a ton that are very mediocre. I did like. This is very comparable, not in tone at all or plot, but in budget-wise, with the Martin Freeman Australian.
Yeah, that was a good
film.
one. Yeah, I like the Kevin Costner, Bonnie and Clyde one. I was very middle of the road, but it was well done, perfectly enjoyable.
But anyway, I do think this will find distribution. It should find distribution.
It should, and you should all watch it.
We should all watch it.
If you come back, if you kept your ear closed during the bit we gave away,
this will be
exciting and it's gruesome and it's different.
The trust of 2019. This will be the movie we champion.
It will be. I would be surprised if it's not in the top 5 of the.
I have to say, as we started the year out, and
it's been pretty good. Right?
It's been pretty good. We've had The Man Who Killed Hitler and then The Bigfoot, which was exemplary.
Yeah.
We've had this one. There was another one that came out at the beginning of the year that I really liked.
We've seen a couple of good ones at the cinema. What they are now.
But in general, I think 2019 is shaping up to be pretty brilliant.
agree with you, mate.
stage. Not necessarily in the big budget ones, but in the mid-range ones, I'm really enjoying them.
Yeah, agreed.
A ton coming out, and we will be... Oh, the Triple Threat was the other one.
Oh, yeah.
So I've had a really good action one. I've had a really good, like, pulp drama monster movie. And a really good, like, horror, comedy, action, whatever it is.
Yeah, it was everything. It was a great world premiere.
Yeah.
It was really fun to watch it with the pair of you.
It couldn't have been a better movie to see with the two of you.
And it's nice to be in a position to have the diner and be able to be a bit rah for films like this, like we did with Hitler Bigfoot. I tweeted, posted, and covered Hitler Bigfoot in really every single way I possibly could. And I want to do the same for this movie, because it's rare that films come out in the 2000s that I feel this passionate about. And The Trust was one of those times, and the Hitler Bigfoot was one of those times, Triple Threat was one of those times, and now this.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Oh, well, splendid.
Awesome. Well, look for more auxiliary content at the diner surrounding Come to Daddy.
We're hopeful at this point of auxiliary. Nothing has been promised. You know, for all we know, the film's going to blow up, become the biggest thing since sliced bread, and we will be left behind happy in its dust.
No. And Timpson said that I can hit him up on Facebook.
Well, if he doesn't do it, you should empty chair him.
Empty chairman?
You know, where you protest about someone not being there, but it's never nice. I'm not suggesting you do some mad Clint Eastwood thing where you pretend you're talking to a fan.
Yeah.
It's like, never mind. Don't worry about it.
Okay, and with that, the dust
it'll never be explained.
settles.
We'll never know the answer to
The
that.
dust settles.
John has left us with one
afternoon,
unanswered question. We answered his other two.
Yeah.
One not to his satisfaction at all.
The
Even though
light-
I felt like I answered the latter question.
The light goes
pretty
down
satisfactorily,
and the
but John
dust has settled.
is not interested in my
on yet
answer.
another After Movie Diner episode. And I feel that after our movie watching tomorrow, I could maybe squeeze another episode out of John on Sunday morning.
Potentially. We'll have to pick
We
something.
could totally have done one about Man with the Golden Gun, because that was fascinating watching that.
Yeah.
I would hear that.
We'll see.
Oh, he won't do that one because he does like Bond podcasts with somebody particular.
No, I've done all the Bonds, but I would go back and do that because there was some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
That would be cool. But you can have like a general film discussion. Like you could talk to John as the author of the
Excellent.
hit
All right,
trilogy.
so this was the episode, and now we're saying goodbye. Goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.
So long.
Thank you so much. So today saw the release of a music video for the first song from the upcoming album Where Our Hearts Can Be a Shambles by Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures. So because the cat is out of the bag on this particular song, and as I said, there is a music video online. Go follow at MiskPlumFix on Twitter or on Instagram or wherever at MiskPlumFix is at Misk Plumfix is found. Why don't we play You're My Last Chance from the album Where Our Hearts Can Be a Shambles by Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures right after this annoying commercial.
There's a place out there. It's in the cracks and in the corners. It's where all others will ignore us, where we can delicately stack all the things that we want back. There's a space out there among the briars and the brambles, where our hearts can be a shamble, where we can break into even pieces, where the past just quietly ceases. The paint is peeling, the sign says closed. It's been here forever, everybody knows. A rusty but it's all that I want. Got me doing with the heat, and all of them crowds give me a bite to the air, where only waves make sounds and occasional smoke from an occupied dwelling wraps its way into all the rumors that you're busy been dispelling. Just time, she says, for one last dance. All the time knowing you're my last chance. You're my last chance. You're my last chance. My last chance. You're my last chance. There's time out there, behind the puddles and the pile-ups, beneath the storms and all the teacups, where we can mend and maybe learn. That place where we were meant to burn. I know a man who everyone else forgets, and while most stay fluid, he just says he couldn't have played me in castanets, and he was pathologically obsessed with brunettes. And the one wobbly chair no one can be bothered to replace is hoping I can hold you up before I break, hoping I don't give out or shake.